G'day mates, it's your host Mary O'Neill Phillips and you are listening to Country Outdoors Podcast.
Okay, so let's dig in. When was the last time I saw you, Kylie?
We're just jumping in.
We're jumping in. Guys, we're here with
Kylie
Frey, one of my most favorite people in the world, one of the most talented singer-songwriter, country music singer-songwriters out there, Miss Thang. Good buddy of mine. We've known each other for 4 or 5 years now.
I think so.
But
yeah.
I think pandemic we met, 2020,
Yep.
when I did my first Writers Round show. That's when you,
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's hard to find, like, girls in this town that you really connect with on, like, a really authentic level. And you and I kind of got that pretty early on, and we don't see each other very often, but it's always good when we do. And
those are the best friendships, though, right? Where it's like there's no pressure, but you can just pick up where you left off.
For sure.
And I am going to mute my phone.
You can mute it. You're good. You are good. It's probably Joe, like, has the baby come out yet?
Oh, Lord. He is mowing the grass, and he's, like, into full sin dad mode.
Is he dad mode? Okay, tell me about that. What has that been like? Tell me, like, how did you find out you were pregnant? And because I don't feel like you've shared that on social media.
Mm-mm.
And I know you're a pretty private person anyway, but, like, some of this stuff just... If you want to tell me, I'd love to hear.
No, this is kind of a different environment. It's kind of cool to be able to share.
Yeah.
Like, because it's weird to, like, post, like, a reel of, like, this was my super personal experience, you know?
Okay, so, like,
and you're just talking, it's just yourself and a camera.
Okay, so, like, Zach thought it was really weird. I told Zach I was pregnant in CVS literally when I found out I was pregnant. We were in hunting camp in Kansas.
No.
And I haven't told anybody this either, but it's so funny because I could tell something was off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and did a test in the CVS toilet and found out. I called my sister while I was in the toilet in Australia, woke her up. And then I walked outside and Zach looked at me and he's like, "You're pregnant, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah."
Isn't it funny how they know?
That he knew. He could just see it on my face.
Know.
But he said, "Aren't you supposed to do some surprise for me?" I'm like, "This is the real world, mate. This is the real world, okay? We're not doing some, like, gender reveal and all this stuff." I'm like,
not
no,
Instagram. This is real
we're
life.
in CVS somewhere in Bum F, Nebraska, and I'm pregnant.
I love it.
So good. So, yeah, tell me.
It was January 1st.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to me. And yeah, you know, like Joe and I had a great morning, and we were like, had gone through like all of our goals for the year. We had a great New Year's Eve. We went to his friend's house, and I don't know why, because I guess I had a gut instinct. I have no idea. But the night before, I hadn't been drinking a whole lot. And the night before, I was like, you know what? I think I want to have a few drinks. Like, can you drive tonight? And he was like, yeah, sure, no big deal. Like, I'll be Dee Dee. So I had a great old time, and we had a sushi date, and we went to a New Year's Eve party, and we lived it up. And then I know. And then the next day, it was like, oh, life is great. I'm cleaning my house. He's like outside in the yard. Like, we got all our goals, and I'm pumped about the new year. I've like got this music that we're gonna put out, and I felt like I was in like the best position going into a year than I've ever been before.
Yeah.
And so like the world was my oyster. It was like such a great day.
Yeah.
And you know, Mother Nature was not really kicking in for me. So I was like, you know what, let me just take a test, and just so in the back of my mind, like, just so I cannot stress about it. Mm-hmm. Never expecting to be pregnant. And, I mean, right away, it just lit up.
Like double lines, no doubt.
Yep.
And so where were you?
At my house.
And Joe was there?
He was there.
And you just walked out and told him?
No, I was still on my bathroom floor crying.
No, all my plans for the year are ruined.
I was crying. And,
that's when God says, I know you've got a plan, but I've got a plan.
Yes. Yeah. So he came in the house, and he heard me crying. He's like, as soon as I heard you crying, he's like, I just knew. It's like, how did you know? He's like, I don't know. I just knew.
And were these happy tears or like Oh, no, scared or a mixture?
I never saw myself as a mom. Like,
Wow.
I always thought I was going to be cool aunt. Like, it was never something that I dreamed about. I just assumed that I would just,
Be the girl,
yeah,
forever career.
yeah. And it was just shock. It was pure shock. And honestly, it was heartbreak in the sense of I thought that my career was over in that moment.
Right.
I thought that everything that I had worked for was no longer possible, which now I know is a lie. But in the moment, it was so big and heavy and just such a surprise. I'm really grateful for it now. Like, he's not even here, and I'm like,
oh, yeah. No, I totally
this
get
is going to
that.
be so great. But in the moment, I'm not going to lie, it was just like
Terrifying.
horrifying.
Yeah, terrifying, horrifying. And I think that's also something that, like, you don't see it on social media, certainly,
Yeah.
people talking about, like, when you become a parent, you have to sacrifice a massive part of yourself.
Right.
And you give up the single you. And you really, like, it's like you have a funeral for that person because that person's not there anymore.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. It was like I was experiencing, joy and excitement about this new life that I'm going to be bringing into the world, but then also like grieving at the same time what I had planned for my life and what I thought it was going to be like. And, so I just trust that there's a bigger plan and it's going to be even greater than I had planned for myself.
100%. So, we spoke about this on the phone, but I can tell you from my own personal experience, same. Like, I mean, I moved over here single, make it happen for myself.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I've always been like career driven, but family orientated. Like, not one of those girls that's like, and same for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not like I'm like career is the only thing, like still make time for the important things. But like, yeah, I feel that as well. But what my experience is, and has continued to be is, so much acceptance. Like, I mean, people want and need family now more than ever. And I think that, like, a lie has been told to us that we can't have it all as women, or that, like, the career is the only important thing, and that we have to, we're nothing unless we make all of it happen at the one time and all of this. And you learn a balance and like, you feel fulfilled in a way that your career can never, ever fulfill you.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to feel that. And, like, we had Alan in here. So Alan's Kylie's manager, and he was in here yesterday. And, I mean, you already know. So tell us about that when you start to then go through, okay, I'm pregnant. This is what I thought I was going to have going on, and that's going to have to change. But I am still a artist, and I still want to do all these things. So now I have to tell everyone.
Right.
Yeah. So walk us through it.
It's funny that you bring up Alan because I was the most nervous to tell my parents naturally, because Joe and I aren't married yet. We had just started talking about marriage, and we've been together for 3 years. So, a good situation, but we weren't there yet, And so I was so nervous to tell my parents. And then once I got that out the way, like, the next person that I was like the most nervous to tell was Alan because we had all these plans, and I felt like I had ruined that for the both of us, and he was awesome,
over the moon.
Yeah. Because I do this thing where when I have to deliver bad news, I have a hard time keeping my emotions in check, and so my chin starts quivering. And so I was like, well, I have to tell you something. And the chin just started quivering, and he's like,
oh boy.
He's like, are you firing me? Are we not working together anymore? And I was like, no, not that at all. And he was like, oh, okay. And he was like, well, wait, what is it? And I think he said, you're pregnant. And I think I didn't even have to say it because I think he just knew too. and he laughed. He started chuckling, and I was like, "Why are you laughing?" He's like, "Because I don't know why you're so upset right now."
This is a good thing.
It's good, yeah. And I've talked to other artist friends of mine that haven't been met with the same level of excitement and acceptance, and I feel really lucky to have a team around me. All of the pieces of my team have just gotten on board and are so supportive, and I haven't really had any negativity about it, like from my inner circle, which is
that's amazing.
Huge.
It's huge. And so going back to the team thing, that's obviously such a key point in having success in this industry and having longevity in this industry. And again, Alan and I were talking about you yesterday and how much we love you. And, I said, Kylie's the slow burn. She's and you are, like, you're so talented. I think it's a great thing that you're a slow burn because you're going to be here for the long run. And you're like that old horse that just keeps on keeping on.
Yeah.
But tell us about, like, your story of, like, finding that team and navigating through that. And did it take a while for you to find those people?
Yeah, it did.
Country Outdoors podcast is proudly presented by Nomad Outdoor. Guys, we've worked with Nomad Outdoor since the beginning of Country Outdoors, and there's a reason for that. They have the absolute best hunting apparel in the hunting industry. We have worn their clothing spring. We've worn their clothing in the fall. We've worn their clothing in the summer. We've worn their clothing on the ice. We've worn it everywhere. We absolutely love it. Guys, they're a Southeastern brand. They represent us. They represent sportsmen and women. Whether it's in the field or by the campfire, Nomad Outdoor has something for every occasion. So you'll come on, go check them out.
It did. Because I knew that, like, especially when it came to a manager, I knew that, like, when I moved to town, I had, like, just split from a previous manager.
When was that?
So I moved when I was 21. It was 2016.
Yeah.
So that's 8 years ago.
Yep.
I moved and I just kind of did my own thing for a minute. I had split with a previous manager, and it was like, it really stung. It was,
This is extremely personal relationship.
It is.
It's a relationship.
Yes, and it's like, it's hard to not get feelings involved in this business because your job is your dream. It's not like you're just selling a product that you're disconnected from, Right. So, some people do, but, so anyway, I took it really serious, and I just kind of did my own thing for a while. I had that duet with Randy Rogers, and he was kind of like a big brother figure, and, like, he really encouraged me, like, hey, like, just kind of hang out in Nashville and write songs for a few years. Like, don't get in a rush. He's like, when you hit the road, that's it. Like, you got to keep rolling. And he's like, so take a minute, take a couple years, hone in your craft of songwriting, which was such great advice. Because I was, like, so ready to go,
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I had met Alan in the middle of that in Erv. I met them, I think in 2016. Yeah. I was a flag girl at the NFR, and Losers was a temp, so they were just trying it out at the MGM. And my buddy, who, I say buddy, he's like a dad and a brother and all the things, but he runs the Resistol team, and I was on the Resistol team Rodeo and in high school, and he was the one that introduced me to Erv and Alan in Las Vegas.
And just, like, a natural connection over all things.
Yeah. And it still took a minute from there. Like,
Did
I
you
was
know
still
who Erv was before you met him?
Yeah, I knew of him.
Right.
Yeah. Not as much as I maybe thought that I did at the time, but I knew that he managed George, and I miss him. But I knew of him, but I'm glad that I'm glad that I took the time to, like, really take it serious and make sure that I was in a place of where I was ready to go when we signed on because I wasn't when we first met.
So you meet them in Vegas, and is it just like a introduction, or what does that look like?
It was an introduction, and it was good. And I was so excited because it just felt so natural and like, you know, it's like creatives, like we love these big experiences and like all the happenstance and stuff. So when I got back to town, I left a bottle of his favorite scotch.
Nice. This is a smart move.
And a business card.
Ooh.
And a CD at his front desk.
Very classy.
And heard crickets, nothing, which they get stuff all the time, right? So I have a friend in town, and I told her that I had met Erv and Alan, and she was like, "Oh, I know Alan. I'm buddies with him. Like, next time you play, I'm going to drag him out. Like, he's going to come listen to you. We're going to make this happen." And so she did. I played the listening room. It was the old listening room. And it was like a rainy Tuesday. And she got him out. And
do you remember what you were playing?
I played a song. This was the song I think that hooked him. It was called Mr. All Night. And I never put the song out or anything, but...
And this is like, Texas hits at all?
I had a couple at that point. I think I had 2.
2 ones?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And I kind of, like, not took a break from the scene, but I just kind of, like, took a break in general just to write and whatnot.
Yeah.
So this was kind of after a couple of songs. And then, so he shows up and he connects the dots that I was the girl from Vegas.
Yeah.
And, oh, okay, she actually is good. Let me go find that CD that's sitting at the front desk. And then we just kind of were in talks from there. And I got on a TV show called Real Country. Mm-hmm. There was only 1 season. Mm-hmm. And Alan was the reason why I got on that show. Mm-hmm. I was just so burned from the previous management situation that it took me a minute to, like, really get there. But when I went to that audition and the casting director was like, "Wow, I'm going to have to really thank Alan because, you know, he was the one that, like, pitched you for this." And I was like, here's a guy that I'm not even working with and don't know if we will work together. And he's, like, still putting opportunities in my lap. Like, that's a really cool sign. Yeah. So after I did the TV show, we had met again, and it was like, okay, I've got some songs, I'm about to have national exposure. I think I'm in a place where I'm ready. Are you guys still interested? And we sat in Nashville in Green Hills, and we shook hands, and
you did your handshake deal.
We did the handshake deal. Yeah, to this day, I have never signed a piece of paper with them. Yeah.
Well, so for those who don't understand what that means, Erv and George did a handshake deal and worked together up until the day he passed. So that's cool. That's really cool and very rare. Mm-hmm. Very, very rare.
Yeah.
And so then what starts to happen? So, okay, so we're now in 2024. How many number ones have you had in Texas at this stage? Because she's a big hit in Texas.
It's either 10 or 11.
Can't remember.
Well, some of them, like, there was one in particular that is not even out on any platforms anymore, so I don't even know if I should count that or not. I mean, I guess it still counts. Yeah. I'll probably put it out again at some point. But it was like the first project that I put out, you know, and we ended up just taking it down because it was like, it was the amateur project, but it was still really good for, you know, being my first project. We just wanted a clean slate and a fresh start, like when the TV show popped off. Yeah.
Okay. And then so what did that then look like?
After Real Country? I had a booking agent at the time. I actually shook hands with the booking agent before I shook hands with management.
Let's bring back handshake deals, guys.
Yeah.
It's just,
They're great.
It's great.
It takes the pressure off, really, because, you know, my booking agent was like, hey, like, we want to work with you, and if we're doing our job and you're happy, then great. He's like, if you're not happy and we're not doing our job, then we don't deserve to work with you anyway. So, you know, that's the way we work. Yeah. And it's great. It really does take the pressure off, and it's like, so that show gave me a reason to, like, hit the road, and it gave my agent a reason to say, this is why you should book this girl.
Right.
And we really just tried to build me through my live show, which was awesome because it really gave me, it really, like, just threw me to the wolves.
Yeah.
You know, like, I had to learn how to be a performer really quick.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Nashville that I love, the whole, like, singer-songwriter community, it's a different thing sitting on a bar stool,
Totally.
on a writer's round,
Yes.
just playing your songs, than it is with a band and the lights.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
At least for me it is.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and for fan experience,
Yeah.
too. Like, there's a big difference between going and seeing a show and, you know, like Cody Johnson's high
Yes.
energy show to having somebody just stand there, and then it's kind of, you know, it makes you want to be more involved and pumped up too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. And the whole, like, songwriter round situation comes so much more naturally to me than being on stage performing. But I've really challenged myself to, like, to get good at it, and I love it. Like, I've really grown to love
the performance side.
Yes. So I'm really happy that I was allowed the opportunity to hone that skill first.
Did they teach you that on the show?
I got a little bit of stage direction on the show, but I wasn't on it for long enough, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like The Voice or American Idol or anything like that.
Right.
I got a little bit more of it on AGT, but not a ton. Not a ton of screen time on either of the shows.
Yeah.
So, but I did learn a lot from both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then you hit the road.
I hit the road.
And what's the next single that you guys are pushing?
Ain't Enough Beer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the first one that we worked, you know, when I had, like, full management and a booking agent, and that was kind of it. But
And so is
still
Alan
a
there
lot.
at every show with you?
Not every show, but he was very involved in the beginning. Now my road show is kind of like, it's not a well-oiled machine, but it's getting there. You know what I mean?
We're going to get into that because I've heard that your just the journey to your shows is what really should be filmed.
Yeah, it's
Kylie's nickname Miss Thang is for a variety of reasons, but she's a hustler. She's a girl that'll drive a truck, and I heard about. Oh, you can tell everyone from your own experience about this trailer incident that happened recently.
Oh my gosh!
I heard about it. All right, what happened?
Yeah, I had a trailer come off of my truck on 40.
How did you just looked in the rear vision and it was like disconnect. So the
I heard we were
this was a couple weeks ago.
This was
right?
a couple weeks ago.
Like,
yes, pregnant. I was headed down to Louisiana with my trailer to my baby shower. My sister was with me, and the funny thing is, my sister and I had this happen when we were in high school. Yeah, she was in high school. I was still in middle school. But we had a trailer come off of a truck with 5 horses in the horse trailer. And she was driving, and she had her learner's permit. She was 15. And so when she and I both, like, pulled out of my driveway recently with our trailer, like, looking back, like, we talked about it after the fact, and I was like, I was thinking about that day when the horse trailer popped off. This morning when we pulled out of the driveway, she's like, I was thinking about it too. She's like, it was on my mind. So I think we both kind of instinctively, like, knew.
You're being warned.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It could have been a lot worse.
Zach, myself, and the Country Outdoors family are proud to have Hawk Optics as a sponsor. When it comes to clarity, precision, and overall quality of the product, we have found Hawk Optics to be top of the line and field tested their products year round and had great success. You can check out this example here on the screen of my recent Colorado elk hunt where I harvest this monster bull elk using the Frontier 30 SF hooked up onto my fix from Q. All right, guys, I have a confession to make. I have a terrible sense of direction, and it's no wonder I haven't got lost in the woods or eaten by a bear at this stage, but there's a reason for that, and it's because I have onX Hunt. onX Hunt is incredible. It's an incredible mapping feature, and it has helped me navigate my way out of some pretty sketchy areas using the compass feature. I've been able to get back to my truck. I've been able to drop pins and waypoints to be able to coordinate how to get to A to B, to be able to find that turkey that I saw on the road and knock and get permission. Guys, though, if you really want to know who's a fanatic at dropping pins, it's my husband, Zach. If you look in his phone, he has thousands of these pins. If it was the 1920s, he'd be able to trade them and get some money out of them. But don't take my opinion. Go and download onX today and check it out for yourself. Good luck this fall.
So, okay, you see it pop, and then, like, do you just go... People have fight or flight or freeze in them.
Yeah.
And it's just a natural instinct.
Yeah.
And so you've
I'm freeze.
really got... Oh, you freeze?
I freeze, for sure. I push through it, but, like, naturally I freeze.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you see it happen, and you're like, holy crap. But you know you just have to get off the highway as safely and quickly as possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Good on you, though. A lot of people would freak out and get into a crash.
It's different being pregnant.
Oh, yeah, because you're in protection mode.
Yes, and like I had never gone into shock like I did after that trailer popped off. Like normally stuff will happen and it's bad, and I'm like, okay, cool, we're all good. But now I have my child inside of me, and it's not just me anymore. Yeah. Like my whole body was trembling, and I couldn't.
Did your sister drive the next leg?
She did, because my adrenaline was just, yeah.
I would like to tell you that it gets easier, but it gets a lot worse. Yeah. The first time your son falls over, you're going to freak out. It's like you truly feel your kid's pain. It is the strangest thing becoming a parent. Really, truly.
Yeah.
Okay. So, another thing is, so your fiddle player is your boyfriend.
Guitar player.
Your guitar player is your boyfriend.
Yes.
I don't know why I said fiddle. So your guitar, Cottontown Joe, who grew up in Cottontown, Tennessee.
Yes.
Is your guitar player. Mm-hmm. So how long before he started working with you? I know the Miss Thang story, but like you can tell everybody. How long before you realize, oh my gosh, I think that this is actually a thing?
So he played like my first full band show with me after COVID. We played a little bar called Joe's Honky Tonk in Kearney, Nebraska. It's one of my favorite bars. Yes. And so I hired him to play bass because I wanted to hire him to play guitar, but I needed a bass player more. So he came on, he played bass, and that first show that we played together, it was really cool because I didn't really know what to expect. It was like, you know, people are still like weird. Like I got back on the road like before a lot of people did, and it was a really cool time for me. I mean, it was a mess up time in the world, but it was a cool time for me because baby acts like me, you know, who didn't require a huge overhead to get on the road, could go and play these really cool bars. People were hungry to get out, like in certain parts of the world. Yep. So anyway, I go over there and I play the show. There's an awesome crowd, and people are singing my songs back to me. That's awesome. For the first time.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the heck is this? I'm in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. I've never been here before. Yeah. What is happening? And then I met the radio DJ
At the show?
At the show. And he was just like, yeah, I've been playing your songs for about 5 years on my station.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, this is the power of radio.
Middle
like,
America.
This is what that does. And so it was a really great show. And so we got off stage, and people were kind of rowdy. I go to the merch booth. There's a guy who just kind of like won't leave me alone, you know?
Thinks he's going to get his try with Miss Thang.
Yeah. And I kind of kept politely trying to, like, you know, go on to the next person. And Joe came up, and he just, like, puts his hand on my shoulder. He was like, hey, so-and-so needs you in the back. Do you mind heading back there? And he's like, I'm so sorry to interrupt. And I was like, oh, yeah, great to meet you. Thanks for coming to the show. I walk in the back. And so I go to the back in my team, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm back. Like, what did y'all need? And they're like, we don't need anything. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh. It's like, that guy's got my back, you know? And so we pulled out of that show, and I was talking to him, and I was like, that was really cool what you did. Like, no one's ever done that for me before.
Or noticed.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
The position I was in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because normally I'm kind of just like, I'm selling my own T-shirts. Like, I'm, you know, I'm running the show.
and women, like, get put in that position a lot when you're in a bar.
Yeah.
And you have to usually get out of it yourself.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah. So it was really cool. I was like, oh, you really had my back in there. And he's like, listen. He said, if I never come on another run with you, he was like, if there's one thing you learned from me, he was like, you need a buddy. He was like, I have 5 sisters. They were on the road our whole life. He's like, I know how people are. He's like, you don't need a bodyguard. He's like, you need a buddy. Somebody who's going to be a friend and just kind of like jump in, not even notice that they're just kind of cutting you out of the picture, you know? So that was my first, like, I feel safe here, you know? Yeah. And then, I don't know. It just kind of grew from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so he's gone into dad mode. You said before we
He's in
started
dad
rolling,
mode.
he's at home
the
mowing
grass.
the grass.
Yes. He he came in. I was like, you know, like fixing my little to-go cup as I do before I leave. And he's like, babe, I just love mowing the grass. I'm like, awesome, because I don't. So
that is so cool. Is he super excited?
He is. He's very excited.
You guys are, I'm assuming you've picked a name.
Yes.
On Ziploc until...
I mean, not really. It'll probably be...
Well,
by the time we put this out.
Okay.
Yeah. So, his name is Lee Behringer Peasall, and we'll call him Bear. Yeah.
Well, you know you got my heart with the bear.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so we're excited.
That's amazing.
We're really excited. Joe picked the name. We were both so convinced that we were having a girl.
Really? Yeah.
So convinced. And, we got out of that appointment, and I was just like, I didn't even know what to do with myself. I was like, what am I going to do with a boy? And he's like, babe.
Inside of me.
Yeah. Like, I'm literally growing balls right now.
It is a really weird thing to think about,
It is
though,
so
right?
weird.
It's so weird. What's even weirder is I read somewhere that your children's DNA stays inside of you forever. So you're always going to have male DNA in your body.
Okay.
Isn't that bizarre?
All right.
Women's bodies is
It's insane.
insane.
It's insane. Don't even get me started on the hormones.
Oh my gosh. I know. So how has he dealt with that with swings?
With 5 sisters, he's really good with the
whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just has to know. So at what time, when did you officially tap out and of work for the last leg of pregnancy? Well, I mean, you're here today, obviously, so I assume you're taking a few Zooms and whatever, but.
Yeah, I'm still writing a little bit. I'm pretty tapped out at this point.
Yeah. Well, you're a week away?
I'm 2 weeks away, but still.
Well, in my experience, 2 weeks could be 4 weeks.
Okay, did you go past?
overcooked, 42 and 1.
Oh my,
Yeah.
don't tell me that, Mary.
42 and 1, and then ended up in an emergency cesarean. Yeah. So, and a lot of the times your first pregnancy, you do go over
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So
My best friend had her baby this morning, and she was 40 weeks and I think 5 days. Mm-hmm. And then they induced, so she probably would have went longer.
So do you have right now, everyone says, do you have a birth plan?
Right.
I had zero birth plan until really I started getting overcooked, and then I had nothing to do other than eat chocolate and think about my pregnancy.
Yeah, and Google, right.
Right, and Google all the things, self-medicate myself.
Right.
No, I literally ate a block of chocolate every day for the last 2 weeks, and the photos of me, I was so big. It was bad.
Isn't it weird, because I find myself, looking in the mirror, and
I think you look great right now.
Thanks,
No,
but I have my days where
your features grow.
They change.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I catch myself looking in the mirror and I'm like, I don't even recognize
your nose,
myself.
I don't know why
my
women's
nose and
noses
lips.
grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's I think it must be blood or something, flow or fluids or something. But I know my nose got bigger.
Yeah.
My lips got big. I mean, everything just gets bigger. I think it's fluid. It must be fluid.
It's got to be, because there's so
Tissue
much
growth.
fluid. And then we have double the blood.
Hormones as well, just growing everything.
Yeah.
It does go back. Shrink back. Your nose will go back to normal. Don't worry. But in that last trimester, I get it. You're just who is this vessel?
Who even am I right now? I feel
and your voice
massive.
changes too. Your voice goes deeper.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Shoes don't fit.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a birth plan?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I have a
Tell us.
plan. I'm gonna have him here in Nashville, at St. Thomas. And I'm working with the midwives, so I've kind of found a middle ground situation because there's a hippie that lives inside of me.
Yeah.
But
so you water birth?
probably not a water birth because I'm technically not allowed to give birth in the tub, but there's a tub that I can labor
Why
in.
can't you?
I don't think they want to clean it. I think that's just the only reason.
Just there.
Yeah.
But you can at other places. It's just at that one.
It's just at that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just for some reason that's their policy.
They're just icky blood.
Yeah.
Hospital.
But also if the baby is coming, they're not gonna stop it.
I'm doing it in the pool.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you might soothe yourself a little bit with the water or whatever, and then okay. Yeah, cool.
So I've got an all natural game plan happening. So
Well, you hold on to that for as long as you can, sister.
yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah.
My friend just did it, and so it's encouraging to know, okay, she can do it.
Yeah.
I think I can do it too.
You can, and as long as nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
you've just got to trust in your own instincts on that stuff as
Yeah.
well. I think I was pushed a little, even though I was overdue, I probably could have gone another 4 or 5 days. And I do think I was pushed a little bit to get induced, which ended up in a complete nightmare for my delivery. So, you just have to do what's right for you.
Do you think they maybe got your due date wrong,
Maybe.
or
Yeah, maybe.
I just think it's so funny how some babies just cook for.
They don't want to come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was have I told you my pregnancy story?
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got induced and then went through all the drugs and the Pitocin, if you can avoid that,
Yeah.
avoid it because the Pitocin makes your contractions 100 times more intense.
That's what I hear.
It's very painful.
Yeah.
And so you have to essentially get an epidural because it's so painful. And then in my case, the epidural ended up failing, and not failing as in it didn't work. It worked too well and started rising, and I couldn't move at all. And it was rising up to here by the time they caught it. And then Molly's heart rate dropped to 80 and started dropping. And then I started vomiting on myself, and then they had to operate. So it was it went from being low lit, calm, all of this to 0 to 100. But after reflecting on it, I think I probably could have let myself go a couple more days and seen if she you know. So you just have to trust your own instinct in that stuff, and for sure.
Honestly, your experience with epidural was what got me looking into like, okay, what are the side effects of this? And
my back is now destroyed.
Right.
Yeah. So
Country Outdoors is thrilled to have partnered with Moultrie Mobile. This fall is an extremely busy fall for us. We've just been out in Colorado elk hunting, and now I have my Iowa tag that I drew, and Zach and I both drew Kansas, which means we're going to be scattered all across the country. So we've done the same with our cameras this season. That means we can get the intel in the field when we aren't there. As you guys know, when it comes to those big bucks in the Midwest, as soon as they pop out, you want to get out there as quick as you can. And because of Moultrie's crystal clear images and videos and the ability to connect to all 4 US cellular networks, you're never going to have to worry about getting those images and videos when you need them. The app is also loaded with amazing features like weather, mapping, and buck prediction in the game plan feature. Get an edge with the Moultrie Edge 2 series cameras and the Moultrie mobile app. When you think of the biggest hunting shows, the most legendary hunting shows in outdoor television, what channel do you think of? Outdoor Channel. Country Outdoors is very proud of our partnership with Outdoor Channel, which started during the pandemic in 2020 with our turkey tour, and which has now evolved into our popular adventure series 4 years later. We are available on all Outdoor Channel digital outlets, including My Outdoor TV. And guys, they're giving out a free subscription to My Outdoor TV, so go and check it out.
have you had any cravings?
ice.
Chewing ice.
Yes.
Lucky you.
I mean, I've had other cravings, but
not like pickles the whole time or.
No, I will say I don't love pickles, but I have found myself eating pickles during my pregnancy.
It's weird the things that you crave though. But ice, why do you think that? Because your body's so hot, you're trying to like regulate your temperature.
I'm so hot.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And it's like we're in Nashville, so this is the South, guys, and it's like 100 degrees every other day.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So, I've just been finding myself just constantly chomping on ice. It's real attractive. But
That is hilarious. Okay, so you've had Wild Horses came out.
Yes.
When did you write that song?
I wrote that song, let me think. Was it 2 years ago? Maybe less than that. I don't know. I'm curious. It's all a blur, really.
It doesn't get any better. Yeah, it really doesn't. The baby brain thing goes on for like years. Trust me.
Great.
I find myself having
Awesome.
conversations all the time, and I still I'll be halfway through a conversation and I'm like, where am I?
Yep, I'll find myself in the middle of a sentence, be like, what was I just talking about?
You look like, seriously, you become a bit of an airhead, but you just have to say, I have baby brain. Like men do not understand it. I swear, I've actually become quite self-conscious about that a little bit since I've had a baby because I was so sharp-minded prior. And then, my job is a host. So I'll be in the middle of a conversation and be like, when I did the Artists Against Trafficking show at Drake White's, no, do you remember? I couldn't remember Allison's name.
Oh, I see. I've done that not pregnant, but
my job is I'm the host.
I get it.
And I literally said, Allison.
Yeah,
it was bad.
The last couple of shows that I played, it was bad.
This is my song.
Yes, Joe would just be over on the side picking good Lord.
Blah,
stop
blah,
talking,
blah, blah.
Just sing. Just go into the song.
You're like, I don't remember how to start it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wild Horses.
So Wild Horses, yeah. I think I wrote it a couple of years ago. Something like that.
And we haven't really touched on your upbringing, but Kylie grew up in Louisiana, big ag family, grew up barrel racing. Barrel racing?
I did. I was a terrible barrel racer, but I did do it a little bit growing up. But my main events were tying goats and roping calves.
Which I've seen videos of you in the last couple of years, and you've still got it.
I don't know about that.
I saw that one video where you were on the electronic, Like were you on a horse and it was
Yeah,
like,
we call it a horse saver. My dad was actually one of the first people to make one of those, but
Really?
yeah, I wish he would have patented it.
Dang.
Mhm.
What's your nickname for your dad again?
Oh, wait, it's Billy.
Billy.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. There's a story here. I forgot. Billy's.
Boudin.
Billy's Boudin.
Yes.
Somebody said to me when I found that out, I can't remember what the story was, but anyway, her dad is Billy Boudin. It's famous, Boudin.
You know, I always say if I could be as famous as Billy's Boudin one day, I'll be doing something.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah, we can't go on a vacation or, like, it doesn't matter where we are in the world. Like, we'll find someone
who knows
who
about Billy's
knows.
Boudin.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like in the hunting industry and like most of our like partners and people we work with are in the southeast. And
Yeah.
so like, and now we're down in Mississippi a lot. And so, yeah, it came up the other day and they were like, Kylie's dad. I'm like, yeah, that's her dad.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, amazing. So
Yep.
Billy from Billy's Boudin, creator.
Yes.
Okay, so he got you into the horse rodeo lifestyle, or was your grandpa?
So it was my dad's side of the family is big rodeo people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad was a saddle bronc rider. And so he grew up rodeoing his whole life, his brothers and sisters too, my grandpa. So he never wanted us to rodeo because he was burnout, you know.
Right.
It would probably be like if Bear came out and was like, I want to be a country music artist. I'd be like, oh, buddy.
Please go into rodeoing.
Is there something else that are you sure? Like anything else?
But when the thing is like
when
you're submerged in
yeah.
something, it's like you either go one way or the other.
Exactly. Yeah. It's funny because me and my sister both were like so gung-ho, and then my younger brother after us, he wanted nothing to do with rodeo. He's
a stockbroker.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, how do you say no to your little girls who want horses and want a rodeo? And
It's also an expensive hobby.
it is an expensive hobby, but the plus side of it was like we were always together as a family.
Yeah.
You know, we traveled like you can't buy the memories that we made growing up in the sport of rodeo. It was a really cool way to grow up.
Well, you and Joe are going to have that though as well with Bear. I mean,
Yeah.
he's going to be on the road with you guys, and that's also such a blessing too. That you know we have that with Zach and I and what we do, and it's, I think about that and how grateful I am for that a lot. That we get to be there for to see our child.
I'll have to pick your brain about that too. Just having a kid on the road.
It's challenging,
Yeah.
but like the alternate is you have somebody else raise your kid, and
Right.
so you know,
Yeah.
it's finding the balance between. I know what you guys, it's a little bit more difficult because you both are on stage at the same time, so probably finding picking the shows that you want to do instead of taking everyone probably. And then finding someone you trust to come sometimes. And then, yeah, I mean, you'll find a balance. You'll find what works for you.
Yeah, I got really caught up on like, oh, I have to figure out how this is going to work and all of this.
No.
And I've just given myself some grace of like, you know, I'm going to
100%.
figure it out
As you
I
go.
go.
Yeah, like for us, it's been like he'll hunt mornings, I'll hunt afternoons. Sometimes we'll have his mum come down. Some things we're a little more picky on the things we want to do these days as well, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's no blueprint for anyone really, like, you know, and I just think like we're lucky that we get to make it up as we go along.
Yeah. And when I talked to you not long ago, you said something that was just so encouraging of like, ever since you've had Molly, it's almost like people take you more seriously.
For sure.
And I think that's such a beautiful thing of like, hey, I have a kid in this world and I have responsibility and priorities and I'm choosing to be here and that means something.
Yeah.
So I am kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I think people, you know, you've got a roof that you have to keep over your head, not just for yourself, but for a child. And we're lucky that you're in the country music industry and not in the rap industry or whatever, you know, because these are industries that are family focused as well. So, yeah, let's go back to the rodeo thing for a second for those that don't know you.
Okay.
And kind of talk about that a little bit because it is a big part of your career and your brand, and style and even where you've had success with Texas and your songwriting and your relationship with Alan and Erv. It's a huge part of who you are.
Yeah, it really is. So yeah, like I said, my dad's side of the family, big rodeo people. So my sister and I, we grew up high school rodeoing. Before that, junior high rodeo, and then before that it was little play days. And honestly, I wouldn't be here if
Were
it
you the
wasn't
cool girl
for...
at school because of that?
No, not at all. I was just kind of like the weird, the weird rodeo girl, you know.
It wasn't it wasn't like Yellowstone was out then.
No, not at all. I made a deal with my high school principal that if I sang the national anthem for all of his football games, then he would pay for my letterman's jacket because I was going to letter in rodeo. And so, there were times where my dad was waiting in the parking lot of the football stadium with the truck and trailer and my horses, and I would sing the anthem, and then I would get off the field and I would jump in the truck and we would head down the road.
That's pretty cool.
So I missed out on a lot of the parties and that type of thing. You know, I had friends in high school, but it wasn't like, that wasn't my social circle. Like my social network was my rodeo friends.
Yeah. And you know, the difference is like the culture was different back then as well.
Yeah.
Culture's shifted a bit now. Now it's popular.
Right.
Yeah.
Which blows my mind. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so great. Like, I know, like, there's a lot of, there's friends that I've grown up with rodeoing and stuff, and, you know, they're kind of like, you know, it's cool again, and it's kind of weird because people that you would never see in a cowboy hat or boots or, like, they're just all about it, but it's really awesome how much attention is being brought to the Western industry, and I just think it's such a great thing.
And hopefully that shines the light on some of the topics that are really important.
Yes, like 110%.
Yeah. For the actual owners of the land and land management and the farmers and the neglect that a lot of them have seen over a long period of time.
Yeah, and just some, I don't know, just some attention to small town America.
For sure.
Yeah. I think we're in like a nice wave of people questioning, not to get political or anything, but just people questioning a lot and just deciding to, like, even just, I don't know, grow a tomato plant. Like, I think that's so cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I had Alexis Wilkins in here before you, and, you know, very, very, not necessarily political, but like she's, I guess she's a political activist, but we were talking about how a veil seems to have been lifted off of a lot of people's eyes when it comes to trusting wholeheartedly the government, trusting wholeheartedly in Big Pharma, and trying to be more self-sufficient for sure, all of those things. You know, our because I did a little bit of research into a few years ago, you know, when did people start becoming sick and obese and all of these things?
Yeah.
And a lot of it happened post Second World War when fast food was invented, and it was marketed as a way to easily feed your families because women had entered the workforce. Yeah. And so it was like, oh, you can't feed your families, go and get them some fast food.
Sure.
And that's kind of like started the decline. But prior to that, most people had a garden. Yeah. Most people made their own jam, made their own bread, had their own garden. If you didn't hunt, you knew somebody who hunted. Right. And there was certainly a lot more family farms, multi-generational family farms, and all of these things. So I think, I do think the conversation has been opened up now, and we're all kind of saying what that means to not be living this way and be living this way. And it's sickness and destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing like getting pregnant that'll make you
It'll
it'll open your eyes to the food that you put in your mouth.
For sure. Yeah. No, it's true though.
Yeah.
100%. And again, it gets worse when you have the kid because then you have to feed the kid. And when you start, start feeding your child, you don't want to give them poison. Yeah. And so I'm constantly in that with Molly where it's like I'm making things from scratch where if I'm buying it, it's so much more expensive to buy the organic stuff and all of that. And so, my goal is to, at our place, to have a really good garden.
Yeah.
I've already got the meat side taken care of because of hunting.
Yeah.
But we don't buy we still buy stuff at the store.
Yeah.
But it's 100%. So let's go into hunting for a little second. So I know you got a little taste of it. Kylie came on the turkey tour with us in 2021. I want to say it was probably, yeah.
Yep, 21.
We had a very unusual turkey camp. Mo Pitney was there. Some people got saved. There was a revival in turkey camp. I've never been in a turkey camp like that again. Yeah. I might say. But I also haven't been in hunting camp with Mo since then either. So that might be the common denominator.
Maybe so.
The common thread. But you didn't get a turkey on that hunt, but you did get a great experience.
Yes.
Have you had the opportunity to get into the woods since then?
I have not.
Okay.
No, I'm kind of counting on you. You're like my
Yeah, well, I was going to say, now that you're having a son,
yes.
is that something that you guys want for him in the future if he's
we
interested?
Do. Yeah. So I think that it'll get Joe into hunting. He didn't grow up around it, but he is, he's pretty handy with a bow and arrow and he's very interested in it. Yeah. Just didn't have a whole lot of opportunity there.
Yeah. What did his family grow up doing?
They played bluegrass. Yeah. Gotcha. So they traveled around the country and they were homeschooled and yeah. So it was really cool. When I found out I got pregnant, his mom was like, I had baby number 6 and 2 weeks later we were back on the road.
Great.
Yeah.
So she's somebody that you can lean on for advice a lot as well.
Yeah.
That's
amazing. But yeah, they were always on the road and he has a lot of experience out west and whatnot. And but yeah, no, I mean, we're very passionate about hey, let's.
Do you have those conversations about how do we want to raise this boy?
Yeah.
A huge part of it is figuring it out as you go along. But are there those conversations well, I think this would be good if we did this with him or.
Yeah.
You also don't know what you're going to get.
For sure.
Personality wise.
I know. I'm just so interested to see what he's going to be interested in. But yeah, it was very important for just small, for us to have a fenced in backyard that he can go run and play and get his hands dirty. That was super important to us. We just moved and finding a house. So
you just moved.
We just moved a month ago.
Up closer to his family.
His family.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So a lot of life.
A lot of life.
A lot of life this year, man. Yeah.
Okay, so baby is due very shortly.
Yeah.
What is the projection then? I know a lot of it is very much, you can't see that far in front of you, but what is the kind of goal right now? You've got this single out, you're having the baby. Do you have an idea on how long you're planning to take off? Is there a bit of a plan? Depending on how you feel, if everything's all good on when you might, what that looks like.
Yep. So I will get back on the road end of October. So I got a good couple of months to get my body back. And, and then in the meantime, I have new music. I just pressed finish on the mixes of 6 songs, so
amazing.
They're being sent to mastering, and so we'll have music out and ready to roll October-ish.
Right around when you're heading out on the road again.
Yeah.
Can we get any little insights into some of the new music or any duets? Any?
Yes, I do. Okay. I have a very fun duet. So I've got a duet with Randall King. So I was on the road with him.
That's kind of been coming for a long time, I feel like.
It's been coming. Yeah, he's a buddy of mine, and it just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were on the road together. I was on his tour most of this year, and I love him and his crew, and so I'm happy that we were able to get him on this song. So I've got a duet with Randall, and then I've got a good bunch of songs, and it's kind of all over the map in like a really good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very country, and it just feels like a big step up for me, which is fun and exciting, but it also is
Like content-wise?
I think so, just like lyrically, it just feels a
you're
little
in a
bit
different phase.
Yeah. There's a lot more depth, which I'm always searching for.
Well,
you know?
and it's not like you haven't had depth before because, I mean,
Right.
yeah.
There's like a balance of having depth, but like not taking yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
You know? And so like my goal is always to like write and sing songs that have meat on the bone and that have a good message behind them. Even when they're not a ballad, like to write like an up-tempo song that's got that is really hard to do actually. But we've got a couple of them on this project, and I'm really proud of that because it's what I've been trying to do for a long time. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like everything is kind of like coming really nicely full circle for you.
Yeah.
And we'll just be waiting to see Baby Bear.
Yes.
Delivered by the time this comes out, you'll have a baby.
Yep.
You'll be in nursing mama mode, pod mode. And then, we're excited to see you get back out on the road. Don't push yourself.
Yeah.
But
I know. I think I'm going to give myself a lot of grace. The road's always going to be there.
Yep.
And
we'll be ready for you when you come back.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for
Love
having
you to
me.
bits.
I
So
love
excited
you
for you.